Hey, this is Josh,
Hey, and this is Mike.
and this is Must See
Before
Before You
you die.
Die. And today we are reviewing together, since this first episode, The Last of Us episode 5. Now, me and
Just
Mike were
finished
on,
it.
yeah, we just finished it. Me and Mike were on vacation, so I did the other reviews by myself. But before we review this one, Mike, kind of sum up what you thought of episode 2, 3, and 4 for us. Just a little summary of what you thought
Well,
of those.
yeah, I thought of course my favorite was 1 and 2. 4 was pretty good too. Um I from my point of view, for somebody that didn't play the game, I thought it's been really well written so far, really good. I the only problem I had was with episode 3, and you and I had talked about this behind the scenes, was had nothing to do about the people come on with homophobic views and stuff like that. It had nothing to do with that. My issue with number 3, which will lead into it, this one too, is it's like the whole episode was invested in two characters, and then at the end they're gone. And from somebody just watching and not playing a video game, I'm like, well, why did you waste a whole episode building them up when they're just gone at the end? And you're
So,
like, what
well,
happened?
so like in the game, um, those characters, one of them is dead. Frank is dead already, and Bill does live on. He doesn't end up dying, but
Okay, so
um,
that would make sense to me.
right.
But again, maybe there's going to be some kind of parallel to this, and an outcome later on. There's going to be another episode, like the girl that died in part. Was it 2
Yeah,
or
Tess.
4?
Tess.
Yeah, yeah. Is it Joel's girlfriend or something?
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen it. Maybe there's going to be an episode later on that talks about her and how they met and all this down the road, because it does seem to go back in time a lot and then come forward.
Yeah,
So
that's what that I like that about in episode 3, where they showed the relationship that Tess and Joel had with Bill and
right,
Frank, and how they traded and all this kinds of stuff. So they did end up showing that.
yeah,
But let's get to this episode 5. So you did
yeah,
you have like the, as a whole, you have like the show.
yeah. I think every one of them's been solid, and I definitely, yeah. That's why I'm still watching it. Yeah, I
Right.
think it's
Okay. So
it's been really well written, and I think it's got me intrigued.
okay. So episode 5 is called "Endure and Survive," and that in the episode you learn that saying is from a comic book that Ellie really likes called Savage Starlight, and she finds and this kid Sam finds one of these comic books on the ground, and she like reads it to him, and they're reading it together. But it's a comic book that she really likes, and this saying "Endure and Survive" is in this comic book, so that's how this episode got the title. So following up from last week, at the very end of the episode, we meet Henry and Sam. And you don't know a ton about them, but you know this group of survivors are after them at the end of the episode 4, and you don't really know the reason, really. But you know that this group of survivors that overthrew a safe zone. And man, at the beginning of this episode, it showed in no certain ways what they did to all these Fedra police and soldiers. I mean, they were hanging one up like. But to be fair, Fedra treated them like garbage,
Yeah,
So they rised up against them and basically killed all of the Fedra soldiers
yeah,
and freed the Kansas City from the Fedra stranglehold that was going on there, Mike.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, it kind of reminds me of the Walking Dead, where you don't know, or you don't really know who's the good guy and the bad guy, and maybe the story can be twisted just a little bit one way or the other, and you may start feeling sorry for one or the other. So you really don't know who to trust.
Right. So yeah, and so basically you're just following, like, Sam and Henry meet Joel and Ellie, and they kind of form a partnership. Joel doesn't really like Henry that much because Henry is a rat. He's basically sold people out to get favors from Fedra. That's why this squad is
Yeah,
after him.
He said he was a collaborator, right? And
Right.
He said, yeah, I know a rat when I see one.
Right. And Kathleen, who's the leader of this resistance, her brother died because of what Henry told Fedra about him, that he was like leading this resistance and all this. So he ended up dying because of that. I really like all that kind of stuff. I thought that was good. Now, one thing I think that they kind of dropped the ball on when they went underground, and you saw that a community of people actually lived underground. Mike, I don't know. Did you see that?
And just to let you know, Josh, you're locked up on my end. If I may look good on your end, but you're locked up on my end.
Okay, well I'm good over here.
Okay,
but my voice still comes through.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we'll go with it. And yeah, I mean, so did you see the community underneath where they said all these look like these people lived underneath here, but they're gone now? Well, in the game, that is actually a big part of the game, a really cool part where you're going through there looking, and it's like just filled with the people that actually lived there at one point in time, and now you're fighting them, and it's really awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
They've been infected down below, and you're trying to clean it out or kill it.
Yeah, because you have to go through there because that's how Henry's taking you through, just like in the show. But I love when they get to this part of the town. They get to like another part. Henry, Ellie, Sam, and Joel get to this part of like this neighborhood, and Henry's all like, "Oh, my plan worked," blah blah blah. And you can kind of tell that this Henry is a little naive about things, about this world, when Joel is very seasoned about how things work in this world. And like this guy is like a sniper, but then Joel realizes like, oh, this guy's a terrible shot. Like I can outrun him. Like he can't shoot me. And he makes it into this house to figure it out. And the guy in the shooting the gun's about 85 years old.
Yeah. He tells him, "Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Just lay it down and stop and turn around and stay here for an hour and leave." And the guy didn't listen to him because you hear the shot.
And so he actually works for the resistance, and so they're on their way to come get Henry, and they do, and they pull up strapped and about 100 people. I don't know. I don't know why they brought all these people, Mike. What was the purpose of it?
I don't know, but I knew that they were in trouble. I mean, when they come out with that big truck that had a bulldozer on the front of it, and they were just plowing things over.
And then Joel smokes them, the driver with that rifle, and then they crash into this house, and it blows up, and you kind of think, okay. And then she's like, Kathleen's like, "Henry, come out," and blah, blah, blah. He comes out, and he says, "Let the children go." She said, "No, we're not going to let the children go." Children, and he goes, "Oh, it was either your brother or my little brother who could be die." And she said, "Children die all the time. That ain't nothing new. Like you didn't have to."
She said something about like basically that's the real world. You're trying to change the narrative or something.
That's right. And she said, children die all the time, and like, why should your brother live over my brother? What makes that sense? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
you didn't mention now. It mentioned earlier too that he had leukemia.
Yeah, he had cancer, so he needed medication.
Yeah, that's why he ratted him out. Well, in this, I don't know if the game's that way or not, but he ratted him out because he ratted her brother out because he was trying to get the medicine to save his brother, which it worked. Uh-huh. And then in the previous episode, you saw the doctor that Kathleen ended up killing. That's the same doctor that was helping them out, giving them food, and also saved his life.
That's right. And so in the game, Mike, there's Sam. A big part of the show, Sam is deaf in the show. In the game, Sam is not deaf at all. Okay. He's not. So that's one thing they changed. What was the other thing? So he's not deaf in this. I thought that added a kind of like a thing where, man, he really has to rely on his brother Henry. Because like being deaf and stuff.
Yep.
And so they do that, and all of a sudden, this truck starts to sink into the ground, and I was like, "Uh-oh." and it sinks in, and then you hear all these noises from all this, because earlier in the show they say Henry said, "Oh yeah, an officer told me there was they pushed all the infected into the ground, but they're all gone. They cleaned them out."
3 years ago.
That was obviously a lie. They had them someplace else, and all these infected just come out, and all these people had machine guns and stuff, but that didn't matter. I mean, they were just attacking them. It was an epic scene, and all of a sudden you hear this other thing like boom, boom, and it crawls out, and it's a bloat. We get our first look at a bloater, Mike. What do you think? What did you think of that?
He
Mike?
was a
What'd you
bad
think of that
dude,
bloater?
man. He was a bad dude. This whole
Huge.
scene reminded me a lot of Games of Thrones at the very end when you had the I can't remember whether it was called the West and the North, whatever it was, when they were attacking each other. This, in my opinion, so far, this has been my favorite episode as far as action and stuff, because the very end of this, I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of these things attacking these the resistance, and then Joel's up there picking them off, trying to save save the girl and trying to save them all, really. So
Right.
I really like this episode, especially action wise.
How did you see what happened to Kathleen's main enforcer, dude? When he was trying to shoot the bloater ripped his head off, dude.
Yeah, I love that, man. I was like, yes. So finally, we get to see some monsters and some killing on there. So yeah, there was a lot of killing in this one at the end of it. And so I was happy.
So when you're fighting a bloater in the game, Mike, that's what happens. If he gets a hold of you, he grabs you like this here and just rips it off. Yes, that's what he did to that guy too, and it was incredible. I mean, that guy emptied 3 clips into it, and it did nothing because he's the bloater's totally covered in the fungus, so it's almost like he's like armor proof. He's like bulletproof almost.
Yeah.
So, but that's not the last time we're gonna see a bloater. I'll guarantee that. But yeah, I overall really liked it. And then at the end, the big kind of surprise is Sam, the little kid. Him and Ellie are talking, and he was bitten during all this. And Ellie thought, "Hey, I think I can heal you. This is why I'm being brought to the Fireflies, because so she cut her hand and spread her blood on his cut. And he says, "Will you stay awake with me all night?" And she says, "Yes, I will." And they wake up, and she wakes up, and he's sitting on the edge of the bed, and she goes over and grabs his shoulder, and he's turned. He attacks her. And they go out, and Henry's like, grabs a gun from Joel, and he's like, "No, no, no." And just a minute, Sam's like almost biting Ellie at this point. Not that she can get affected, but it doesn't matter. He can still kill her. And Henry shoots Sam, and then he's like, "What did I just do? What did I just do?" And Joel's like, "Give me the gun, Henry." And then Henry's just like, boom, blows his own brains out. And that's exactly what happens in the game as well, Mike. That scene is almost exact, yes. And it happens quick, and you're just like, whoa, when you first play it. You're like, dang.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, this is just this is me being, I guess, wimpy and invested in the characters. Is, again, I'm watching it from a perspective of I haven't played the game. Is I've gotten all invested into these 2 characters again for this whole episode, which is probably 45 to 50 minutes of the hour and 15 minutes is about these 2 characters until they meet up with Joel and oh God, I can't. What's the girl's name?
Ellie,
yes. And then all of a sudden, the last 15, 20 minutes is with them, and then all of a sudden they both die at the end. And I was talking to my wife about it, and she's like, "Oh man, I've kind of got invested again, just like episode 3 with these 2 characters until the very end." And then you just never know if that's the end of them. I mean, so basically it's telling me now, don't get invested with anybody but Joel and Ellie. Everybody else is done. They're all dead, and the end of it doesn't matter anyway.
Disposable.
Yep.
So, but okay, Mike. Well, that's our review of episode 5. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 2 thumbs up. I thought they could have done more with the underground part, but for the most part,
plenty of action in
awesome.
this one, though.
Huh?
Plenty of action in this one if you like action.
Really good. Really good. Really, really good. Enjoyed it. Okay, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Comment,
Please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.
Yes.